Readers, lock your eyes on our target and listen as I read. I can read non-fiction text. This is the third day we have had this target, and I'm excited to finish up our book today with you so we can really look at how non-fiction readers read. Read the target with me. I can read non-fiction text. So we've been reading Superstorms by Seymour Simon, and we've learned a lot of things about thunderstorms. We've even written some things down in our notebooks. So I have learned that a storm is a sudden change, a violent change in weather. And one type of storm that Seymour Simon talks about are thunderstorms. He talks about lightning and thunder and hail, and we even started talking about tornadoes the last time we read and learned some interesting information about tornadoes. I always think about and take the time to remember what I have read before I go back to the book, because that way, when I start reading, I have information to stick that new information to. Let's read. Whoa, look at that picture. Hurricanes are the deadliest storms in the world. Okay, so before we were talking about tornadoes, which sounded pretty bad, but apparently hurricanes are the deadliest storms in the world. They kill more people than all other storms combined. Hurricanes stretch for hundreds of miles. They have winds of between 74 and 200 miles per hour. The eye of a hurricane is the quiet center of a storm. I wonder if that's what that is, the eye. Inside the eye, the wind stops blowing, the sun shines, and the sky is blue. But beware, the storm is not over yet. Interesting. So this page talks all about hurricanes, and we learned some facts about hurricanes, like they're the most deadly storm, that they kill more people than all other storms combined. We learned that they exist over lots and lots of miles, hundreds of miles, and they have really high winds between 74 and 200 miles per hour. Do you notice that when I retell what I learn, I put it in my own words? I might look back at the text quickly to remember something, but mostly I put it in my own words. I also think about what I read before I go on to the next page, because it doesn't matter if I read if I don't understand, if I'm not learning anything new. Let's go back to the book. Hurricanes are born over warm ocean waters from early summer to mid-fall. When they finally reach land, their pounding waves wash away beaches, boats, and houses. Their howling winds bend and uproot trees and telephone poles. Their heavy rains cause floods. As I read, readers, I'm looking at the pictures, and this picture really strikes me. It looks like a lot of destruction, and because the pictures always match the words in some way, I'm thinking that this page is going to tell more about the destruction that hurricanes cause. You can tell that those high winds, the 75 to 200 mile per hour winds, cause a lot of things to be blown around. That looks like a refrigerator. Oh my. In August 1992, Hurricane Andrew smashed into Florida and Louisiana. Over 200,000 people were left homeless. In the Pacific Ocean, hurricanes are called typhoons. Oh, I always wondered what that word meant. So typhoons are hurricanes that are in the Pacific Ocean. In April 1991, a typhoon hit the country of Bangladesh. Over 1 million homes were damaged or destroyed. More than 130,000 people died. So this page is about more destruction. It not only talks about hurricanes, but it gives examples. So it talks about the hurricane that hit Florida and Louisiana, and it talks about the typhoon, which is just a hurricane in the Pacific Ocean that hit Bangladesh. First graders, on the next page, I'm going to ask you to stop and think about what you've learned. You're going to use a sentence starter. So, far, I've learned. And then you're going to start talking about all the things that you've learned so far. Oh my, this is hard to write. So far, I've learned. There we go. So far, I've learned, and there shouldn't be a question mark there. So far, I've learned. So keep listening so you can talk about what you've learned. Blizzards are huge snowstorms. Okay, so we've talked about thunderstorms, we've talked about tornadoes, we've talked about hurricanes, and now we're talking about blizzards. I'm thinking that in my mind. I'm thinking about all the things that we've already read so that this new information has a place to stick in my brain. Blizzards are huge snowstorms. They have winds of at least 35 miles per hour. That doesn't sound as bad as a hurricane, but it's still pretty bad. Usually at least 2 inches of snow falls per hour. Temperatures are at 20 degrees or lower. Falling and blowing snow make it hard to see in a blizzard. So readers, you are going to turn and talk using this sentence starter. So far I've learned, turn and talk. So readers, you may have said, so far I've learned about thunderstorms, so they can have lightning, which can get 5 times hotter than the sun, and thunder. And so far I've learned about blizzards, which are huge snowstorms. And they don't have winds as fast as tornadoes or hurricanes, but they still can blow 35 miles an hour. And there's a lot of snow, and it gets really cold, and it's hard to see in a blizzard. You might have said something else too. Whoa, that's a lot of snow. I wonder if it makes it hard for those cars to drive. In March 1993, a major blizzard struck the entire East Coast. You know what I'm noticing, readers? Seymour Simon tells us about a type of storm, and then he gives us an example. That's interesting. I wonder if I could do that in my own writing. Cold temperatures, high winds, and heavy snows hit from Florida to Canada. Millions of people lost power and spent days in dark, cold homes. Thousands were stuck on snowy highways and in airports when planes were grounded. That didn't sound right. Thousands were stuck on snowy highways and in airports when planes were grounded. Oh yeah, I get it. Planes were stuck on the ground, and so people were stuck in airports. That makes sense. Notice how when it didn't make sense, I reread. No one can prevent storms, but weather reports can predict and warn us when a storm may hit. The more prepared we are, the safer we will be when the next one strikes. Wow. This was a really interesting book. And because I always know that at the end of the book, I do something, I would maybe talk to a friend about this, or write a recommendation card, or take some more notes in my reading notes. Right now, I'm going to write all the things I learned in this book, Superstorms. But it's time for you to start the workshop. Readers, the reading workshop has begun.